Russia's armed forces continued its most widespread strikes on Ukraine's major cities, in what President Vladimir Putin called a deterrence and revenge against a bridge explosion in Crimea. The missile attacks had targeted military facilities and the energy system as well.
Through its actions, the Kyiv regime has de facto aligned itself with international terrorist establishments, with the most heinous groups. Leaving such crimes unanswered is simply no longer possible.
Today, the armed forces of the Russian Federation continue to deliver a massive strike with air and sea-based long-range precision weapons against military command and control facilities, as well as the energy system of Ukraine. The goal of the strike has been reached. All assigned objects were hit.
Explosions were reported in Dnipro and Kremenchuk in central Ukraine, Lviv, Ternopil and Zhytomyr in the west, Zaporizhia in the south and Kharkiv in the east. 19 people were killed and more than 100 were wounded. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on G7 group to help create an air shield capable of stopping the Russian strikes on his country that have multiplied over the past 2 days.
I ask you to strengthen the overall efforts to financially support the creation of an air shield for Ukraine. Millions of people will be grateful to the G7 for such an assistance.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the Russian shelling in Ukraine is a sign of weakness by Moscow, which is losing on the battlefield. Russia says it will respond to Western involvement in Ukraine after the United States pledged more military aid to Kyiv.
I think what we saw yesterday is actually a sign of weakness, because the reality is that they are not able to make progress on the battlefield. Russia is actually losing on the battlefield.
Dozens of demonstrators in Romania, Italy and Australia, including Ukrainians who fled their country, took the streets and even gathered in front of Russian embassies in cities like Rome, shouting and protesting against the Russian missile strikes. The unleashed cruise missiles fired from air, land and sea were the biggest wave of airstrikes ever to hit locations away from the front line, at least since the first volleys on the first day of the conflict.